videoed?
Yep, that would be great.
Yep, and the date is the 22nd, so we're having our third meeting for the year, Pātea Community Board meeting on the 22nd of April, and it's been recorded, so it's great that everyone can see us still in our own pods. And in attendance today, we have Mayor Phil Nixon, CEO Waid Crockett, Liam Dagg, Phil Waite, Darleena Christie, Sara Dymond, Janine Maruera, Robert Northcott, and of course Dianne Lance, Joe Peacock, Maria Ferris, and myself, Jacq Dwyer. Have I missed anyone out? I think we're all here. So what I'm going to do first is Joe Peacock is going to say a karakia for us to start our day, start our meeting. Thanks, Joe. Can you hear me, Joe?
Tēnā koutou. Ai, tēnā koutou ko Joanne Peacock tōku ingoa. Just going to start our hui with a karakia. Puritia mai te tauru o te rangi kia tīna, kia wena, kia toko te manawa ura. Tīna toko te manawa ura ki ia. Tīna toko te manawa ura kia ranginui e tūnei, kia papatūnaku e takoto nei. Ki tēnā, o tātou te whanaunga, nā piringa me nā karanga maha. Āpiti atu ki te hunga māwiwi, ki te hunga e tāme ana i te pauritanga. Koia rā e rongo whakaere ake ki runga kia tīna. Kui e tae ki e.
Kia ora, Joe. Wonderful. Lovely start. Now, apologies. Do we have any apologies at this stage, Sara? Do you know?
No apologies received.
Candice Kowaleski, I think we should put her down because she was going to attend, wasn't she? And now she's not here. So I think that's all we've got from the apologies. So now we will move on to open forum. We actually put the fact that we're having a meeting via video conference on Pātea Community page and the Waverley Community page just to see if anyone did have anything in open forum. We didn't actually get anyone back except for our community patrol people, Alan Keppel, which is great, and of course he attends every meeting. So I'll just read out a few things that he wanted to mention. Of course, they're not actually patrolling the streets at the moment, but he did say one major issue, which is sadly ongoing, is the roaming dogs. And there's a lot of those in Pātea and Waverley. And also, I think it was one sheep was slaughtered on the golf course at Pātea. So that's unfortunate. And the fact that a position has been advertised for a second policeman in Pātea, according to Sergeant Stilton. So that's really good news that that position will be at least advertised, and hopefully we'll get a second policeman in our town, which will be great. So that's from Ellen. Did we have any other open forum issues from anyone on our meeting today? I think that's all. Yeah, I think that's all we had. So we'll just move on a little to confirming our minutes, and we've got an issue, haven't we, where we have to actually reconfirm 2 resolutions.
Yes, that's correct, Jacq.
Yes, so do we do those before we actually confirm the minutes?
They're just as part of those minutes. So if you get a mover and a seconder and open it up for discussion, then within that you can then remove and second those 2 resolutions.
Okay, and of course that was because we had Brian Rook, who isn't our councillor, who mistakenly confirmed them. So I personally wasn't at last month's meeting, so I can't do that. So do you want me to do that? Do I just read the resolution out and get you who were at the meeting to do that?
Yes, correct.
Yep. Great. So the first one is that the apologies from Jacq, Dwyer, Councillor Rob Northcott and Mayor Phil Nixon be received. If someone could move and second that, thank you.
I'll move that. Ferris. Okay, and I'll second it.
Actually, that's something we should also say. If you say something, you could say your name as well.
Yep.
We don't always see you. So that was Dianne, I think.
Yeah.
So anyone who talks, please just say your name. And the second one is that the Pātea Community Board receives the Community Development Activity Report.
Maruera Ferris. I can move that.
And Joanne Peacock, I'll second that.
Brilliant. Thank you. So with the confirmation of, do we confirm those minutes now? Is that correct, Sara?
Yes, that's correct.
And then we can just go through any details once we've confirmed that they've been read. Is that okay?
Yep, so just ask for a mover and a seconder, then it can be opened up for discussion, and then you can carry that after that.
Very good.
Okay.
So I'll have
do you want me, Dianne Lance? I will confirm that the minutes from the last meeting on the 11th of March be accepted as a true record.
Thank you, Dianne.
Maruera Ferris. I can second that.
Thanks, Maria.
Okay.
Wonderful. So some of the things we've actually already discussed in our meeting earlier, and it was some things that actually aren't an issue now, like the speeding traffic in Waverley, for example, because of course we don't have that issue anymore. Do any of you want to speak on that?
No.
That will return once the lockdown's finished. And then we've got the Walker issue, and I'm wondering if Liam's there, he might be able to talk to us about the fact that the hole that's cut in the Walker, what did the engineers come back with about the leaching concrete and the drainage issue from that? Is it something that can be repaired easily, or is it a big issue?
Yeah, through you, Chair, it's Liam Dagg here. I think Phil Waite, who's also on the meeting, might have some information to update us on, so I might throw to Phil.
Thanks, Liam. Thanks, Phil.
Did I mute myself through the chair? Yes, it's Phil here. There is a bit of a challenge about trying to find a particular product that we can seal the inside of the walker area up the top, so we haven't been able to find anything suitable yet. Having talked to a couple of my colleagues about options, we haven't. We've came up with 2 or 3 options about filling it or just painting the inside of it, but again, I'm trying to find a real good product is proving a bit of a challenge.
Okay. And I guess while it's cut open, any excess water is able to drain out, so that's helping the situation.
Through your chair, yes, that's correct. Yep.
Okay. Thanks for that, Phil.
Jacq, can I just ask Phil a question?
Yes.
Rob Northcott, Phil, is it possible, rather than sealing the inside, just to put some strategically placed drain holes in there? Is that an option, or I haven't been up there, I don't know.
So through you, Chair, there is actually a drain hole in the top area of the waka, and there's a pipe that comes down in one of the legs in the middle of the waka.
I've seen
but
that.
it doesn't seem to be doing its job properly. The water's coming from a different area, so it's not actually draining from a particular pipe. In fact, it may actually be the water may actually be inside the concrete as opposed to and leaking along some reinforcing or something. So not actually just draining out of the hole that's in the top.
Okay. Thank you.
we'll keep it on the matters arising then. Thank you. And then our next one was, we've had contact with Fulton Hogan about the spraying in Pātea and the issue with them spraying areas that had a no spray zone on and the amount of spray. So we have heard back from Fulton Hogan, haven't we, Rob, about that? And they are aware of this complaint.
Yeah, I got an email from Fulton Hogan, passed on to me, just giving the types of sprays they use and their spray regime, and that they carry wind monitors, and so I don't think there'll be any more issues in regard to spraying in no spray areas. But after lockdown, I'll go and have a chat with Mr. Murphy and put him at ease, hopefully.
Good. No, thanks, Rob. That's good. And then with the Pātea Rugby Sports Club, Rob and we did meet with the golf club about this back in February. Or it wasn't really about this, but of course the golf club are working with the Rugby Sports Club, and Kate Murdoch, that's actually a spelling mistake in the minutes, it's Kate, not Kelly, is continuing the talk with all interested parties like the squash club, etc., about how they might either reconfigure the buildings they've got or build a new building and just make it a one-stop sports shop in Pātea. And of course with the new tennis courts, they don't want to start those until they know that they have an area that's actually going to fit 2 large tennis courts in it. So I'm pleased Kate got to that last meeting and actually explained to you what they're doing. It's certainly not going to happen quickly, it's a massive project, but she's been really concise about what they want to achieve, which I think is really brilliant. Does anyone want to add anything more to that? Also, what Rob and I talked about and Janine at the golf club was the walkway continuing and going through the golf club area, which is something that in the future will hopefully, that project will just carry on. So the golf club people were very welcoming with that idea. They had a few issues about if there was a big golf tournament on, if there were people on the walkway, what that might do, but there's ways of making sure people don't get hit by golf balls, I guess. So that's something we'll talk about more in the future. And then the last one was Ruth talking about the rock and the signs that has been an ongoing project to put up at the lookout at the Pātea Beach. So the rock is actually still with Noel McCall. It's a huge rock, and Janine's been getting some quotes for different signage ideas. So that would be a great thing to have, and it will just show areas off New Zealand, off the coast, how far it is from our coastline, etc. Places like Bluff and Kaitaia, New York. So that's something we're certainly working on. So it was nice that Ruth came along and just gave us a bit of the history about that project. Do you want to discuss any of the other matters arising in the minutes, any of you? The other one was truck vibrations, and I think that there was something to do with culvert there that Brian Rock was going to look at down at Waverley, and the speed camera. But of course, with the lockdown, nobody's speeding at the moment, are they?
No,
So,
and through your chair, it's Liam Dagg here. Probably just as a follow-up to that, I guess the initial investigation we've done is just to reiterate that it's an NZTA or state highway matter, and I guess we're working with our roading team just to see what the history of conversation's been on it. But it's just to point out, it doesn't sit I guess with council as first responder, but we'll, continue our conversations with NZTA in that space.
That sounds wise, Liam. Yes. Good idea. Thank you.
Through you, Chair, just Rob Northcott, just about any work that's going on in the lookout area. I just had a thought the other day that when the wind farm is built, then probably the best viewing place for that wind farm will be the Pātea lookout area. And I know that Tilt have talked about certain funding for different communities, as in Waverley and Pātea. And I'm just wondering whether they might be open to funding a small amount and tidying up our lookout with in views of the sign and the rock and everything. It may be another funding source that might be worth exploring, because as I say, if you go down to the lookout in Pātea and look at the wind monitoring pole, it's going to be in a direct line of sight, and those windmills are going to be quite, they're going to look awesome. So, yeah, just a thought that maybe I could take to the next meeting with Tilt.
It's a very good idea. Yeah, because there is a viewing platform up there that's been built with river stones, isn't there? That is looking a little tired. That could actually be tidied up at the same time. Is that where the rock is meant to be sitting on that Riverstone platform?
No, I don't think so. I think it was muted to be put on the first lookout. So that's the first on the right as you go down. But I mean, that can be changed. I mean, that's up to us as a board to decide where and that happens. So, and obviously that whole green waste area there is something that needs to be attended to at some time in the future as well.
Very good. No, that's a good thing. We'll take note of that. Great. And Janine's done a lot of work already with getting prices for signs, etc. And of course for the river walkway, because we'd quite like that whole thing to flow through with the river walkway and the Corteen rusty steel sign. That is a possibility for this place name sign as well. Great. Okay. So should we move on? We don't have any funding applications this month.
Sorry, just through you, the chair, you just need to carry that resolution.
Oh, we need to carry the resolution. So do I say that?
All those in favour say aye.
Oh, thank you. All those in favour say aye to carry the resolution.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. And against? No, we're all good. We're all in. Thanks for that, Sara. Great. So we have nothing really to discuss in our funding applications this month. I'm not sure if we've heard back from the Pātea Rugby League Club, but I'm sure they were delighted with last month. And so we just need to scroll on past that, don't we, Sara? On to the next.
And just moving on to matters arising.
Matters arising. So does anyone want to start with any matters arising? We had a couple of things we talked about, didn't we, Janine? We talked about, for example, the Pai sign that the Pai committee have actually decided they do want it moved.
Yes, through the chair, Janine Maruera. When Ruth brought up the issue of the Pai sign at the last meeting, Melva Tucker, the Pai committee chairperson, was there, so that was great. And they actually confirmed that they didn't want the sign there anymore either. So it's just a matter of when we can, looking at getting rid of it, bringing it down.
So that's great. Yeah, that they agree with that, and that would certainly make the Hunter Shore frontage look a lot more pleasant. And of course, we also had that wonderful Noughts and Crosses game installed before the lockdown, I was going to put an article in the paper about it, but then the paper wasn't printed. And of course, now no one can actually play the Noughts and Crosses game, but it's great it's there. And we also just talked about how good the library garden was looking at Pātea. Everything happened just all before the world went a bit crazy. So we're very happy that it's sitting there waiting for us anyway. With Joe and Maria, was there any matters arising that you wanted to discuss? And Dianne? The shading area at the park, Maria, did you want to just give us a quick update on that, the sunshade?
Yep, Maria Ferris. That at the moment Brian Rook was going to talk to Jacq and provide examples of what we need in the area for the shade, so then he can get pricing on materials for the lions, so we can come up with a price for the project, and then we can apply for funding. So that's where it's at the moment. Just yeah, getting drawings, I guess, for what we need so that the lions can actually build it.
Isn't that great that the lions can do that? Wonderful. And we've had a little bit of discussion about the BMX park, which is sort of a little more down the line. We'll discuss that further. The sunshades are our first priority.
Yes, correct.
Through the chair, may I ask a question if it's appropriate?
Absolutely.
Maria, it's Phil Waite here. Maria, when we met on site, we talked about the possibility of using a similar design to the shelters there at Mana Bay. Is that still your intention, or you want to come with something different?
What Brian was going to do was he was going to take a picture of the ones at Mana Bay, and then a picture of the ones that we had examples from and got priced, and I think come up with kind of a best fit.
Okay, yeah. No, thank you.
So I guess once those drawings are done, then we could come back to a meeting and say, is this is a suitable look, and yeah, go from there. But definitely along the lines of what you said, with the timber being more sustainable, weathering better.
Thank you.
Okay.
So through the chair, just to follow on from that, so Mike Cole built those shades. So if you need to know anything about their construction and design, then he's the man to see.
Thanks for that.
Very well built, aren't they? Okay. Any other matters arising? Any of the council staff?
Through you.
Yes.
Sorry, through you, Madam, through the chair, it's Joanne Peacock. Phil, are you able to give us an update on the gardens in the main street in Waverley? Just what is council owned and what is not? Is that a thing that is coming up reoccurring in our meetings? And I saw it was also in the matters arising. If you could give us any update, or if you may be still doing your inventory.
So through the chair, I replied just recently with an email just in regards in general terms, the gardens that are in Waverley. The council maintains the parks, which is Altea Park and Gully Park. Also looks after the street trees, which are newish along the main street, Waruara Road, in the main area. The gardens, I believe, that may be a little contentious are the little sort of inset pocket gardens that are along the main street that were put in when the urban development project was done some 15 or 20 years ago, and at that time the expectation was that the property owners whose properties those gardens were on would sort of maintain them, but I guess over time, potentially with the change of ownership and things getting watered down, then not all of them are being maintained by the property owners. So in general, that's what we look after, and what the other ones are where the communities should be looking after. In terms of the inventory, yep, that's all being, everything that we do maintain has been measured up and sort of priced and as broadly as we possibly can to see what our annual cost of looking after those areas are. And as I've said in the past. We'll come back to the board at a time where we may have some recommendations or questions or have a discussion with you about each of those areas.
So the daffodil, the daffodil area, Phil? Are the council redoing that?
Through the chair, you'll have to remind me where the daffodil area is if you're talking about Waverley. Where are you referring to?
That's the south end of town. Oh, no, north end as you're going into Waverley. I think that was done at the same time that the Pātea Bedford Street Hill was done.
So the daffodil bulbs, as I'm aware, are still in there.
Yeah.
What are you asking?
To get rid, to sort of make it so that's not full of weeds.
Oh, okay.
It'll be on the inventory, I'm sure.
Yes, it will be on the inventory. So I haven't been through Waverley recently, so I wouldn't know what the weeds conditions were like, and nor have our horticultural team for that
it's
matter.
sort of it's the entrance garden, really, to Waverley. Yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
I'll follow that up.
Put that on your list. Yeah. Brilliant. I think that's all of our main matters arising. Was there anything, Dianne, from you?
No, I think that's yeah, there's really nothing much that's arisen or come up.
Well, I'll just give a slight update about York Street, Phil, that I have been talking to Colin Schrader again, and he suggests that a little walkway over for the Waka definitely won't work. The river will find something to hook over that, and you know, it might just create a little dam of logs hook against it. So we think that the area, once it's opened up, the Waka, it's so flat there that they'll find a nice place that can just be a launch area for the Waka without making a walkway. And Colin suggested a picnic table and bench seats on each side, and then another bench with back and arms. And that's something that we will hopefully do an application to the Pātea Discretionary Fund. So it will be, you know, a little project that we'll do once the area's cleared out. So I know the Pātea Area School, Anaru, I've had a chat with him after it, and they're really, really appreciative that the council hopefully doing that just to make the area safer for the kids to get the Waka out. So, I mean, it all takes time, but we're doing it properly. And I left a message on Noel's phone again today, just to say, you know, it'll things will start to turn again once the lockdown's over, and by then there'll be a bit more of a contingency plan from you, I'm sure. So thanks for that. So as soon as Colin's got a quote for me, I'll do an application to the discretionary fund. But it'll be a big concrete pad so the mower can go right round it, and strainer post legs and half rounds for the tabletop, like what you see in a picnic area on the side of the road. So it'll be sturdy, and the seat, he suggested a seat rather than two tables, because you know sometimes people might just want to sit and look at the river, so we don't want, you know, so that will work out quite a nice little enhancement. So I'll keep you posted on that. Thanks, Phil. So anything else from anyone about matters arising? And if not, we will, do I need to confirm those, Sara, or do we then just move on to information reports?
Yep, you can move on to the information reports now.
Very good. Okay. So the information reports are, am I on the right page? Goodness me. Let me just scroll down a bit here. So the information reports
That on page 14.
About the pool. Oh, sorry, Rob, what was that?
I was just telling you what page they started on.
Yeah. So it's the rural pools report. Is that correct?
Yep.
Yeah. So I'm on to that one. We had a little bit of a discussion about this at our pre-meeting as well. We were disappointed with some of the behaviour that's happened in Pātea, and it meant that pool had to close over a few days. So that sort of, yeah, penalised everyone, which was such a shame. Any other information, Rob, you wanted to add to that?
Yeah, can I just speak to that through you, the chair? It's a bit disturbing to find that we've had the situation of this unacceptable behaviour. And can I just ask, is there procedures that the staff have to keep themselves safe and to keep members of the public that may feel threatened when this unacceptable behaviour is happening? And if so, and can we strengthen it for next year so that the people causing these problems are either banned or charged by the police? Can some of the staff update me on this, please?
Yes, through the chair, it's Phil Waite here. So yes, we do have unacceptable behaviour at some of our pools, and Pātea is not the only one where we have that occur. Couple of things that we already put in place for the season that's just gone, and that is that under our new lone worker policy, we actually engaged 2 lifeguards or 2 people to work at the pool, so that provided an element of safety. We have in the past actually closed the pool when there's been unacceptable behaviour and kicked everybody out, and sometimes that can be some of the local pressure that goes on unacceptable behaviour at that time. But I mean, even at Pātea and along with some of the other pools, that unacceptable behaviour extends to after hours as well, and we get the people who leap the fence and decide they want to have a swim after hours or to throw things in the pool or around the pool. So look, it happens at all pools, so it's not just at Pātea. But one of the things that we would like to talk to the board about is around the staffing at the rural pools, which is why I'm coming to all the boards this round. So having got to the point of engaging 2 staff members at each rural pool this year, we have generally engaged younger people or university students to look after those pools. But with the changes in the way that semesters work with universities, we often, those students and those staff of ours are leaving from the end of January, some of them, and so we do struggle to get staff at our pools at times. So what we'd like to do, and one of the best things about the rural pools we'd like to think is that having local staff working in the pool sometimes can help as well in terms of that disciplinary action that needs to be taken, or some of that dealing with behaviour. And we've got a good example of that with our lifeguard in Manaia, who lives in Manaia and deals with those sorts of things. So yes, there are procedures in place. We'd like to ask the board to keep an eye out for when we advertise for staff, and if you know of any people in your areas that might be suitable to work for us, encourage them to apply for those positions, because it is good to have local people in those places.
Like we used to have Gloria, who knew everybody. So, okay, that's a good point.
Just a couple through the chair, a couple of other things just to highlight with the Pātea season. One is we did have to close the pool for a number of days because we had a pump that blew out on us and we had to get some parts from overseas. So that did close the pool for 3 or 4 days, I believe. But also on a more positive note, and coming up very soon, is that we have now got a project in the pipeline to put some tiered seating and to put some shading on the western side of the pool area. So I hope by the time we get back to work, I'll have a building consent approved sitting on my desk, and we'll start to get some contractors engaged to have that hopefully in place by the start of the next season.
That's brilliant. I saw that, Phil. That's brilliant.
Thanks, Phil.
Did we ever talk, Phil, about people that go in there at night time, why is there no security light that comes on?
I'm not aware through you that there is or isn't a security light that comes on. They do leap over the fence. We know where they get in and keep trying to repair the fence each time. We do have a surveillance camera in all of our pools, so
Okay.
they are being recorded, so we do know when they have been in there.
Who they are. Okay.
Yeah. And look, for the most part, generally they just want to have a swim and they'll get in and have a swim and go again. It's the frustrating part is when they do go there and they'll throw something in the pool, and we've had glass in the pool, and not in Pātea, but in other pools when we've had youth in there overnight and they've decided to smash bottles and throw them in there. But for the most part, they're fairly innocent swimmers.
Right. Thank you.
Okay.
So anyone?
Through you, Chair, Maria Ferris.
That's good, Maria. Yes.
I just wondered how you complete the customer surveys, Phil. How could you fill me in on that?
So through the Chair, we generally just get our lifeguards to ask random customers, and so it's a copy at the pool. Yeah, we don't get a lot of survey responses, to be fair, but we do get some feedback from customers.
So when they randomly approach people, they verbally ask the questions or give them a piece of paper?
Well, that's a good question. I'm not exactly sure about that.
That's cool. Just for future reference, that's all. Thanks for that.
So Phil, the reason why the attendance in Pātea was down would have been because of the pump, perhaps? Because it had to be closed for a couple of weeks while the pump was broken?
Through the Chair, you'll notice that actually only one of our rural pools, which was Manaia, had an increase in patronage over the season.
Yes.
For Pātea, probably two reasons, and the pump would have been one. It was only closed for 2 or 3 days as a result of the pump, and a couple of days because of behavioural issues. But also for all the pools, December wasn't a very pleasant month weather-wise either, so it took a little while for the swimmers to be encouraged to go
Into the pool. Good. Okay, I see. And with the increase in the hours, is that going to next year the hours will be slightly longer? Or not?
For you, the hours will stay the same as what they have been. So there's no intention to extend the hours at any of the pools.
Oh, was it the opening date? Is that what is going to be changed? No.
Through you, I'm not aware that there's any intention to extend the season, if that's what you're asking. I'm not aware of any moves to do that. So it's about the middle of December until Taranaki Anniversary Day.
Through you, Chair, just to clarify, it's Dagg here. I think there was a comment made at the very end of the last community board meeting about whether there was any appetite or scope for the season to be extended or altered to take more account of the better weather sort of in around the March sort of April period, but that was where it was left. I can't recall, Phil, whether we've actually followed that up with you, so we might just make a note of that and have a conversation about it online. Apologies for that, Chair.
No, that's okay. I knew I'd read it somewhere. Of course, that all went out the window with COVID this year anyway. But hopefully next year's another story.
And
thank you,
Joanne Peacock, through the Chair. And thank you, Liam, for bringing that up. It was actually myself that brought that up. I'd been approached by several community members and schools about whether they could extend out to the end of March, as the weather was still quite warm. That was how that came about.
Oh, thanks, Jo. Okay. Well, should we just leave that until the end of the year to reassess, Jo? You'll keep it on your radar. If you have students that want to start earlier, you'll approach us.
Through the Chair again, Joanne Peacock. Just it was more to extend into the March. So it's rather than finishing the Taranaki anniversary, could it possibly be the season be pushed out to the end of March? But that was just something just tentative to put towards council, whether that was a possibility.
Thanks, Jo. Oh, well, something Phil and Liam can discuss.
It's through the chair. It's Waid here, Jacq. If there was any desire to change or increase the opening hours, we'd need to know that quite soon, because there is quite a bit of planning in it, and as Phil's already mentioned, we're struggling to staff it as it is. So if we've got any earlier weeks where we're starting or leaving it open longer at the end, we kind of need to be aware of that. So it would certainly be something we'd need to put into our planning process pretty quickly.
Okay, thanks, Waid. Wonderful. No, I understand what you're saying. Okay, so that's all we need to discuss about the pools.
Yes, Jacq, we just need a mover and a seconder for that to receive that report.
Very good. So I'll move that, and if someone could second that for me.
Happy to second, Rob Northcott.
Thanks, Rob. So then community development report.
Sorry, Jacq, that report just needs to be carried.
Oh, carried, sorry. So all in favour, say aye.
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 Any against? Very good, so carried. Thanks, Sara. We'll move on to the information report from the community development team. Do we need to discuss any of this? It's things like the South Taranaki Heritage Week that was cancelled. It actually looks like a lot of things are just cancelled here. Mayor's Task Force for Jobs, Road Safety Advanced Driver Training. We'll scroll through those. Oh, so we've got the under Pātea Award, the Pātea Loop. And this is about our meeting that was held at the golf course. Janine, do you want to say anything more about that?
Through the chair, Janine Maruera. I think we've pretty much covered it earlier. Just to it's pretty much on hold at the moment, but the next steps involve figuring out exactly where the route is going to be, and doing a walkthrough with the golf club members and board members and staff, and coming up with a stage 1 plan.
Very good. Great, thanks, Janine.
Through the chair, it's Waid here, Jacq. These sorts of projects, that we're starting to have much closer conversations with the councillors about, in particular, about trying to ensure that we kickstart the economy again in all areas. So these sorts of development projects, Pātea Loop, and even things such as seating and other bits and pieces that we might normally wait for budgets to be prepared for, we may very well bring forward work that was planned in future years, a number of years out, back into this next annual plan, in order just to get work happening again. So just keep that, board should just keep that in the back of their minds, is that it might create an opportunity for us to actually get stuck in and do a whole bunch of these things that might normally take a little bit of time to get consents around, and those sorts of things as well. We might try and fast track a number of things.
Wonderful, Waid. And I think with this lockdown, it's just amazing how many people are walking now. Even out here in Alton, there's people doing a 5K loop, and I don't know if people are going to stop that. So it's the time is right for enhancing our environment so people can use it easier. Great to hear. Thank you. And then we've got our Pātea seats, which I think most of them are done. which Gabrielle has painted, some of them. She's done at least 2, hasn't she, Janine? Have you noticed? The one by opposite Foursquare, and I think the library one.
Through the chair, Janine Maruera, she's definitely done the one opposite Foursquare, just before lockdown actually. So, but she hasn't made a start on the library one yet.
Oh, okay. Oh, well, it's well done on Gabrielle's part. Great to see. Do we want to discuss any other things here? Nothing for Waverley at this point that I can see. Any discussion from anyone?
No.
No, we'll just scroll on through. Do we need to we need to actually carry that once I've got to the bottom, Sarah?
Yep, you just need to, the board needs to receive that report.
Receive that report.
Yeah, so just a move it and a second.
I'm happy to move we receive that report.
Thank you,
Madam
Rob.
Chair.
And
I'll
I'll
second
second
it.
it. Oh, Diane Lance, I'll second it.
Thanks,
second it.
Dianne. And all in favour?
Aye.
Aye. And those against? No one. Okay, so we'll just continue to scroll down here. We've got a lot of, okay, we'll go past all those discretionary funds. Then we're on to the Libraries and Cultural Services report. I think the library have done very well with advertising their books online, etc. during this time. So that's what I've seen in Pātea, and I'm sure Waverley's the same. I take my hat off to our library. So I guess we've all read that. Is there any discussion on that? I know the Wi-Fi's been turned off, hasn't it? And so people aren't loitering. So our wonderful seats outside the Pātea Library probably haven't actually been sat in yet, unfortunately. So if there's no discussion, I'll just move that we accept that report. And seconded by
Maria
Diana.
Ferris, I'm happy to
I'll do-
second that.
Thanks, Maria. Yeah, I've just noted Kath's conclusion here, which is worth reading. And I think they're all working very hard. And then we've got our Pātea facility usage report.
Sorry, Jacq, that report just
Yes.
needs to be carried.
Oh, carried, yes. So all in favour of the of that last report, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those against. Thank you very much. Okay, Rob, have you got anything you want to say about the facility usage? I don't know what's happening with our dump, etc. It's all closed, I guess, at this time, isn't it?
Yeah, it's all closed. No, I mean, it's all pretty self-explanatory. No, nothing really to add.
No. The bus is still going, isn't it? I've seen it a couple of times, taking patients to the hospital, etc. Or is that just the hospital bus, perhaps, not the Southlink? I'm not too sure, but there's certainly one still going, which is great for people. So if no one has anything to say about that, we'll just I'll just move that be accepted. If someone could second that for me.
Yeah,
Maria
happy to
Ferris,
see.
Yeah, I'll second it.
No one is.
Sorry about the phone call. Okay, how are we going, Sarah?
Sorry, just confirming who seconded that report.
Oh, Diane Lance,
Okay.
I'll second it. Yeah.
Very good.
You just need to carry that one.
Oh, and Carrie, yes. All in favour?
Aye.
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 Carried. Thank you, Sara. Wonderful. Well, do you think that's it? Have we come to the end of our meeting? What a whole new way of meeting, isn't it? I think we will very well. So any other formalities that I've missed?
No.
No, that's it. Well,
Through the
keep up the good
chair.
work.
Yeah, can I just
Yes.
congratulate the staff and the way they've dealt with everything over this this period, and you know, they've organised these meetings and they've kept things busy. The library staff have kept, you know, producing things and keeping the community informed. And Mayor Phil with his updates has been very, very well done, and yeah, so thanks very much to all of you.
I completely agree. I've
Thank you, Rob.
emailed Sara
Yeah.
at some strange times of the night and she's replied. Honestly, it's a real asset to have such a well-organised council. We're very lucky. Sorry, Phil, were you going to say something?
Yeah, no, I just thank Rob, Chair, thank you, and thank you for chairing a good meeting.
My pleasure. It's just lovely to see you all. Thank you.
Okay.
We'll see you again face to face one day soon.
Thank you.
Take care, everybody.
Yeah, cheers.
Bye.